Good morning, everyone. Let us start the session with the prayer. A very good morning to all the participants. Sabhi ko namaskar. I welcome you all to the third day of the workshop Ultimate Mantra for Wellbeing. Namaste, Usha ma'am. Namaste, Vasant bhai. You can start the session. Over to you.
Vasant, how do we do? Should I recap yesterday's and day before you take over, or would you like to do the?
No, I think it would be nice if you can
recap. Sure.
Recap, and then I will go over the meditation.
Okay. All right. What we have learned thus far is that we understand that there is a very close connection between body and mind. Understanding this and using it to our fullest advantage makes us healthy. As they say, it's a no-brainer. We understand this easily. We also see just understanding and working towards the connection between brain and mind is not going to be enough. But there is also the mind-body connection is also connected with our actions, with our habits, with our behavior. So there is a close connection between mind, body, and behavior. To be healthy, really healthy, we need to understand this connection. This is where most of our habits, like what Parul was saying yesterday, we understand this, but our behavior in trying to change our habits, we get stuck. And yes, that will be addressed today, Parul. So to be really healthy, we really need to understand, not just understanding at an intellectual level is not going to be enough, but we need to implement this concept that there is a close connection between our mind, body, and our behavior. Again, at this stage, it is a no-brainer. But what we have tried to come up with to make you understand, comprehend, and have that conviction, just understanding and implementing this concept of the connection between mind, body, and behavior is not going to be enough, but there is another factor, that plus factor, which is very crucial. And what is that plus factor? We said it is our interpersonal relationships. Having meaningful relationships, along with understanding the close connection between mind, body, and behavior, is truly crucial. So, this is what we call this as well being. Even understanding this connection between mind body behavior plus interpersonal relationship uh, relates to our well being. But the ultimate well being is this understanding the importance of meaningful interpersonal relationships, not only understanding that and believing this is the surest way to evolve, because we've also introduced the concept of evolving on a moment to moment basis. And the surest way to evolve is through interpersonal relationships. And not only that, we also saw interpersonal relationships at a lower level does affect our health. So it is very crucial. And how do we understand this importance of interpersonal relationship is through interconnectedness and interdependence of all things and beings. We kind of understand this in an esoteric way. But today we're going to really delve deeper into this in a creative manner through the help of a particular meditation technique to understand this interconnectedness and interdependence. Yesterday, we understood this in a scientific way through that Harvard longitudinal study. And I hope you all got that link, and I hope you'll be able to go through that uh, study, longitudinal study, which is spellbounding. Just to be able to do 82-year longitudinal study is just not a joke. And only a country like US, or it could be another country I can think of, it is Japan. Only certain countries have that tenacity of critical thinking skills and to be able to maintain in a certain way with the financial funds. We cannot forget that, to be able to conduct such a study. It is so crucial in all different respects, not just with the results, but even the how that study has been designed and continued for about 82 years. You'll be able to appreciate when you really read that Harvard longitudinal study. And again, even before going to the meditation, I think it is worthwhile to look at this video again. And again, I forgot to log in. Let me stop sharing and try to do the sound for this. And then how do I do sharing? Somewhere, sound option, share sound, right?
Yeah, share sound and video clips will be somewhere on the right side.
Yeah, got it. Let us see. Because it's such a short video and it is so powerful. It really helps to watch this video. Okay. This is what I call ancient wisdom. 1 second. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
we are able to hear.
Something happened here. And can you see the screen?
Yes, we can.
Oh, all right. Good. What I was saying was this is what I call as ancient wisdom, whether it is in African culture called Ubuntu, or even before any of this, in our Bhagavad Gita, it talks about paraspara bhavayantam. So, but now, from a scientific perspective, we have different names. We call it interconnectedness, interdependence, and it's also important to understand from a scientific perspective because all of this has evidence, because only people who have certain faith, who believe in Krishna, might understand and follow that paraspara bhavayantam. But what about others? Those who believe Shiva much more than Krishna, they're not going to pay as much attention to that paraspara bhavayantam. Or if you are not open-minded enough to accept African culture, African ancient wisdom, it's an intellectual piece of information, Ubuntu, we think. But to be able to follow, we really have to have that intellectual conviction. So, in my opinion, whatever we have in our ancient wisdom, today we are understanding this from a scientific perspective, using different terminologies with evidence-based research. So it helps everyone because science is about commonality and reproducibility. So the same aspect of interconnectedness and interdependence of things, or mostly interconnectedness, we're going to understand through a meditation tool. And Vasant is going to describe a little bit about this meditation tool before going into the guided meditation practice. And over to you, Vasant.
Yeah. Thanks, Auntie. Can you go into the full screen mode so that?
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, thanks. This meditation technique is something which I very deeply connect to. It's called as guided visualization meditation technique, and it essentially uses a neuroscience principle saying that our brain essentially cannot differentiate between what is real and what is imaginary. What I mean by that, let's look at one of the most common example, which I'm sure all of us would have experienced. For example, when we go through an emotional movie, and as the movie goes through its ups and downs, let's say during joyful situations, we also experience that joy within us. And in difficult situations, we also experience those difficult emotions with us, whether it could be anger, it could be sadness, or whatever it is. While we know fully that the movie is happening on the screen, it's not real, it's imaginary. But at the same time, our brain also goes through those emotions and releases those particular chemicals based upon the emotions that are being projected on the screen. I'm sure most emotional people also cry when we see some difficult situations on the screen when we go for a movie. Now, this particular principle has been used in a very positive way in this guided visualization meditation technique. And it is, in fact, one of the techniques that has been used by National Institute of Health as a part of conventional medicine under the mind-body medicine interventions to enhance and improve the quality of life of people particularly for those who are going through chronic illnesses. And it's essentially a foundation for our mental well-being. And as Auntie had said, we are going to go through this guided meditation technique to understand the interconnectedness and experience it, feel it in our body, a more of a right-brained approach towards our entire existence, right from subatomic level to cosmic level. You would have also seen that video that we intentionally showed you twice, yesterday and today, saying that our happiness and our joy cannot be essentially found in singularity. Because of our togetherness is where we can really find real joy, real happiness. Now, I would like all of you to keep this picture in front of you as we are going to go through this guided meditation technique. I'll be switching off my video and we'll be just going through the script. And would encourage all of you to follow that script as I'm going through. These pictures are basically reminding us of our interconnectedness right from the subatomic level to the cosmic level. This visualization technique, in fact, uses the most real estate of the brain as it involves many of our sensory modalities. As we are going to practice this technique, let us hold on to this image, listening to the instructions and comprehending the underlying message. It indeed helps us to see our lives from a much wider perspective. It has helped me personally also. And holding on to the belief that if we change the way we look at things, the things we look at will change. Now, I would prefer that you keep your eyes closed, but imagine this picture in front of you. If you find it very difficult to keep your eyes closed, you may even look at this picture. As we go through the rest of about 20 to 25 minutes of this guided meditation. Sit in a comfortable position. Whatever is most comfortable for you at this point of time. Either in Sukhasana or on your chair. With your eyes preferably gently closed. If needed, you may even take your back support. And if you wish to relax, even in Shavasana, that is also fine. As long as you can keep yourself alert. Relax your entire body, especially your facial muscles. Bring a gentle smile on your face. We're going to explore this adventure of going through and experiencing this interconnectedness within every cell of our body. With a gentle smile, let there be a sense of gratefulness for this beautiful and pleasant morning. Focus on your breath. Your life force. You feel privileged for this human birth. As you're trying to follow these instructions, your mind may wander. So be it, without any sense of guilt, non-judgmentally, gently, lovingly. We'll try and bring our focus back to our breath and back to imagining this picture in front of you. Let us feel that we are one with these instructions. We are visualizing with our eyes closed, along with this visualization. You're also visualizing that you are comfortably seated in your room. The room in which you are is a part of your house. The house that you live in is a part of the neighborhood, your neighborhood. The neighborhood that you live in is a part of the city, your city. The city that you live in is a part of the state, your state. The state that you live in is a part of the nation, your nation. Just keep expanding your imagination. The nation that you live in is a part of this continent, which indeed is a part of this planet Earth. The Mother Earth, which belongs to all of us. Our Earth is one of the planets of our solar system. The Sun is one of the hundreds of billions of stars in our galaxy called the Milky Way. Milky Way galaxy is one of the billions of galaxies in the universe. A profound fact is when we are looking at the stars in the universe, we are literally looking at the past, anywhere from a few minutes to several years. In our solar system, in this universe, is indeed like a speck of dust. Imagine that we shrink our solar system to fit onto the palm of our hand. Then the sun is smaller than even a grain of sand on our palms. And you are one of the several billions of people in this universe. One in a billion, and yet so unique. Keep your eyes closed and feel your breath. And now, after this cosmic journey, let us zoom back into our micro universe. And gradually recognize that this cosmic universe made of billions of galaxies, Milky Way galaxy being one of them, Sun being one of the hundreds of billions of stars, and our planet Earth, one of the planets of our solar system. Continue to zoom back to imagine our continent, our nation, our state, city, and our unique house, one of the many houses in our neighborhood. And you are in that house, in a room, enjoying your home on this planet, in this universe. Everything from your subatomic existence till the cosmic level is indeed at the right place at the right time, with the right distance, and all of them harmoniously holding on to each other collectively. The force that is holding on right from our subatomic existence to the cosmic existence is indeed a force which we may call it as a gravitational force that is acting upon us. It is that same force that holds the planet in their orbits as they revolve around the sun. It is the same force that holds the galaxies together in this universe. It is the same invisible force that is poetically and spiritually can be experienced as love, pure love, unconditional love. This unconditional love is referred to in Sanskrit in our scriptures as ahaitukka priti. And this unconditional love that is holding us all together is eternal. It is beyond time, space, and causation. It is this eternal unconditional love, ahaitukka priti, that holds all of us together right from our subatomic existence to our cosmic existence. Let us experience and express this eternal, unconditional love, ahaitukka priti, with our own near and dear ones, our own children, our own parents, our own spouse, so as to experience real joy, real sense of well-being. Let us recognize that this happiness cannot be found in isolation. This happiness can be found only by experiencing and unconditionally being convinced of this invisible force. Happiness can only be found if all the members of the family are collectively happy. That is real joy, real ahaitukka priti. And that you in your room is unique, very unique, yet you are one with many billions. You are indeed unique and special. What are we using this uniqueness for? Are we using this uniqueness to come together in harmony and love? Or grow apart by differentiating and finding the differences or faults? Let us always remember that each one of us are absolutely amazing and unique, just like everyone else. This fundamental interconnectedness and interdependence indeed lies at the ultimate heart of our reality. Ubuntu, I am because you are, which indeed embraces the idea that humans cannot exist in isolation. We depend on this interconnection both at the microcosmos and the macrocosmos. Both within ourselves and our neighborhood and our peers and the people whom we interact with on a day-to-day basis, including the external environment. This interdependency, because of interconnectedness, is a much higher order of reality than the material or the financial independency that we might have. Let us reflect on this essence of this highest knowledge that we are all one and there are no others. Let all our interests converge into one of harmony, leading to peace within us and in the outside world. Let us know beyond doubt that we have the capability of making this universe a better place. And let us be grateful for this roof on our head, built by laborers who have toiled hard to give us this shelter. Let us be grateful to the milkman and the vegetable vendor who delivers our daily needs right at our doorstep. Let us be grateful for the farmers who bear the brunt of our collective actions despite the results of the climate change and still toil for us to produce our food. Let us be grateful towards our cook, our maid, our gardener, our driver, who enables us to live in comfort. Let us be grateful for the running water in our taps. Let us be grateful for the weavers and the farmers, due to whom we have ample clothes filled in our wardrobe. Let us understand and experience this deep sense of interconnectedness and be grateful for everything that we have. Ubuntu in its deepest form. Let us feel this essence of this highest knowledge of interconnectedness. We are all one, journeying together on this planet, and there are no others. Take some few deep breaths. Recalling this interconnectedness. Everything in this cosmos holding together due to this unconditional love. Hai Tukha Preeti. resulting into Heituka Ananda. Sat Chit Ananda. Let us now wish and pray for the well-being for self and all in our existence. You may gently come back to your sitting pose, keeping your back and neck straight. And let us collectively chant Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha. Om. Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha. Sarve Santu Niramaya. Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu. Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhave. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. You may gently rub your palms over each other and give a nice massage to your entire facial region, neck region, and then gently open your eyes. Thank you. Thank you, all of you. Maybe if anybody would like to quickly share just one or two experiences, you may do so. Otherwise, we'll go ahead with the presentation. Thanks, JD. Yeah. Yes, Banking Bhai. Yeah.
धन्यवाद कोटि कोटि धन्यवाद वसंत जी. You know what the best part where I could really get connected is when when you express gratitude to the people around us. You took an example of where we get the food from, where we get the milk from, where we get basically everything. We think that we are self-reliant and well-sufficient, but I think when we look deeper, then I think there is nothing we can do, on our own, unless we connect and unless we depend on, all others around us. So I think that was a great way to drive home that message, and that really, I think gets one connected.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Auntie, we can start the presentation.
Usha ma'am, there is a black box on your presentation on the right side, and your mic is also on the mute mode.
All right. Is that better now?
Yeah, but there are two Yeah, there are two black boxes on the right side. I think you may have opened the video panel or the
Yeah.
participants. Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah, it has now become short and on the top right corner, but it is not coming or disturbing the presentation, but it is there. Yeah, it is
Yeah,
fine.
that was the video panel. So something has happened to the video panel now. Okay. All right.
Auntie, would you like to unshare and reshare so that the video panel goes off?
Okay, yeah, maybe because I'm 1 second. I'm not able to see that panel. It's the screen share has stopped, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, then let me start and share it again. Is that better? Let's see.
Usha ma'am, I think
Yeah.
you can when you click on the share button,
Hmm.
you can see the various windows opened on your screen, which you can share with the participants. Out of that screen, you can select the PowerPoint presentation only, rather than selecting sharing your desktop screen. That can make a difference, I think.
Yeah, let me see. There are a couple of that is also not going to be okay. I know what's happening here. Mhm. 1 second, let me come out because that is coming in the way.
Yeah, I think as Ravish Bhai is saying, just sharing that PPT.
Yeah, which
Fine.
one I'm not able to figure out. There are a couple of them, the same PPT. That's what's showing. Let me go back.
Maybe you may close the other PPTs.
That's what I'm not PPT, it's some other windows that are open. Okay, let's see. I'm still seeing this little screen. Something happened. Is that better now? But I'm not able to see the video screen. I'd like to see that so that I can focus on the participants at times.
I think that will be in the view window. Right.
Okay. All right. There are two of the, only one presentation is open, but I'm seeing two on my application windows, that's what's confusing.
One would be a normal presentation, the other would be in the presentation mode, the same presentations. That's why it is showing two different windows.
Even now it's showing two, right? No,
This
it's
is
okay.
the full screen mode, and the other
Yeah.
one would be the normal screen.
Can you see the?
We can see the presentation.
Okay.
The
How
full
about the
screen.
other panel? It is hidden. I want to.
We can see the control panel.
How do that
Black
is
box.
completely hidden? I'm not able to get that. Okay. Maybe this is better now. Okay. All right, let's see. So we understood the interconnectedness of all things, as Vasant said, right from subatomic particles to the universe itself, and how we are all interconnected, and the interdependence also of all things and beings. This is what in the African community they call that as I am because we are, that Ubuntu concept. In fact, last year on National Heritage Day of South Africa, I was present and I was speaking on the National Heritage Day in Africa. And then I was telling, usually Heritage Day, we talk about monuments and statues and buildings and whatnot. But something what they talk about, whether it is in South Africa or here for that matter, we need to focus on our spiritual heritage. And the spiritual heritage of African community would be this spirit of Ubuntu, that in a similar manner as I was talking about the Paraspara Bhavayantam in Bhagavad Gita, and there are many aspects and concepts, especially not just in our culture, in ancient wisdom as such. Each and every country has this spiritual heritage. So we need to even expand thinking about what heritage usually means and then go to the extent of understanding the spiritual heritage of each country, each nation, each culture, each community. So, with that, let's move on and see. We understand that the happiness of our life depends on our quality of our thoughts. This is how on day one I started saying that everything starts from a thought. Everything begins from a thought. But I just say, it's not enough just to focus on our quality of our thoughts. There is something much more, which is the quality of life depends on the quality of interpersonal relationships. This is what we saw in that Harvard longitudinal study, which we looked upon briefly yesterday. And so let us wonder on this concept of how the quality of life depends on the quality of our interpersonal relationships. For us to understand this, let us go a little bit deeper into neuroscience and see. So, we talked about this again day one. Why do we keep repeating patterns in our interpersonal relationships? Somebody says something, our loved one, pushing our emotional button, and we react in a certain way. The reason is, the scientific reason behind that is, brain is a pattern recognition and ultimate pattern making machine. Well, what is the science behind this, right? We need to understand this. Then only we will be able to understand the next creative way of presenting some of the results for what Parul's question is about. What do I mean by that? It's an ultimate pattern making machine. See, whenever we have patterns, we just follow one pattern, right? You start off with one point and automatically it results in a certain pattern. The reason for this is efficiency. Otherwise, each time we have to be creating new patterns. For example, patterns are also our own habits. Every day we have certain habitual things that we do as soon as we get up. We don't get up every day and start thinking, should I do this or should I not do that? Should I have coffee? Should I have tea? Should I go to work or not? Everything is habituated. That habit is nothing but a pattern. The brain likes this pattern or habits because of its efficiency. The brain might weigh just about 2 kgs or so, 2 to 3 kgs, but it consumes lot of energy. The brain weighs only about 2% of our total body weight, but it consumes 20 to 25% of the total energy that is consumed. It truly needs a lot of energy. Thinking needs a lot of energy. And feeling needs a lot of energy. So to conserve this energy, brain likes to see things in a habitual manner or a pattern recognition manner and a pattern making. So it makes patterns. This is how we're used to that. Somebody says something, pushing our emotional buttons, we react a certain way. Yeah, this is a different way of looking at how we react, why we react, because a little diamond shape part of the brain called amygdala gets activated, so we react right away. That is one way of looking at it. The deeper reason for that is brain is a pattern recognition and pattern making machine. This is only to conserve energy. In other words, to really think deeply, especially thinking deeply at a conscious level, at a rational level, it takes a lot more energy. Patterns are hardwired in the lower center of the brain. That takes less effort. Whereas to think something in a conscious, effortful, willful, deliberate, rational manner, it takes lot more energy. So we knowingly or unknowingly, we want to consume energy. So we go into that pattern of thinking and doing certain things. We need to keep this in the back of our mind to understand why we are not able to follow certain habits. When there is no genuine physiological reason, as Parul was asking the question yesterday, we know what we should be doing. We know we should be meditating, we should be exercising. We try to do for certain days and it goes back. We go back to our old routine. Why? The reason is this. This is a left-brained approach of understanding. Let us understand this through the help of a story. But before that, a little bit more of left-brain thinking to understand and appreciate that story we're going to talk about. Actually, it's not a story, but it's an autobiography, I should say, of one of the actresses who acted in Sound of Music. So we will get to that in a couple of minutes. But what happens? The same old thinking results in same old results. We can understand this very easily. You think the same way, and so you also react the same way. Not only thinking, the same old feelings will produce same old results. And then we need to ask ourselves, if we are trying to change, we are trying to form a new habit, we are trying to get rid of the old habit, then what do we have to do? we need to feel differently. To be able to feel differently, we need to think differently, because we have understood the connection between thinking, feeling, and action. Until and unless we think differently, we won't be able to feel differently, we won't be able to take different action. So the same old behavior also produces the same old results in line with same old thinking, same old behavior, same old feeling will produce same old results. But we are expecting different results. We are expecting a big change in ourselves. How is it possible to happen? Again, remember the very first slide that I started on day one. Everything begins from a thought. That thought, what we are using that thought for is coming from the lower center of the brain or the lower mind. That's also a thought. It's an automatic thought that has been hardwired. But we need to start from a conscious thought, a deliberate thought, a willful thought, a rational thought. That willful, deliberate thought should produce certain feelings, producing a different behavior. So, once we understand the science behind this habit formation, then we won't go wrong. Because it is habituated, the earlier thought was, I'm not able to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to do a 10 minute of meditation. The same thought comes up. And we're only focusing on our behavior, on our action. That cannot happen. If we keep focusing only on our behavior, we need to go back to the root of thinking and feeling. When we think a different thought in a deliberate manner and have the right feelings to go with that, because feelings are fuel for our actions, we won't be able to produce change in our behavior. Usually, what happens? It is the fear factor. Fear is a very powerful motivator. Once we get to a certain age and the doctor says you need to exercise or calm down because your cholesterol level is high, that fear factor will come in and then we change our behavior. As much as fear is a powerful motivator, another equally powerful motivator is love for that behavior, whatever we are trying to change. So, whatever you want to change, feel that strongly, like that, love that kind of behavior that you want to, foresee that. And that is what is going to help you to change our behavior. Because thinking the same thing, feeling the same thing, and doing the same thing, but expecting different results, Albert Einstein calls that insanity in a jovial manner. So how do we come out of this? This we're going to understand with a story. As I said, this is a story, but it's an autobiographical story. It's autobiography of a film actress called Portia Nelson. She's the one who played the role of a nurse. I'm sorry, not nurse, but the nun in the film Sound of Music. So she says this is her autobiography in 5 short chapters. This is the shortest autobiography that I have read. And then we're going to go through it and then understand everything what we have said just through this story. First chapter says, I walk down the street and there is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I am lost. I'm helpless. But it isn't my fault. So it takes me forever to find a way out of that hole. Second chapter. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. So I fall in again. And I can't believe I'm in the same place. But it isn't my fault. So it still takes a long time to get out. Third chapter. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see the hole, but I still fall in. It has become a habit. My eyes are open. I know where I am. Maybe it is my fault. I get out immediately. Fourth chapter. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk, and I walk around it. Last chapter. I walk down another street. I think let us take some time to see how we can understand the story. And this actually gives the answer to Parul's question yesterday. Let's analyze what is our deep hole. It's a deep hole in the story. It could be blind spot in our lives. What is that? And there is the story itself is so symbolic. We can think maybe I'll just take one or two answers from you, and then we will try and analyze and understand why is it so difficult for us to change our habits, and more importantly, not to just change our habits when it comes to interpersonal relationships. It's easy to understand the change in our habits. Let us look at the story from our main theme of interpersonal relationships and understand. Can I invite a couple of answers? I think,
Parul.
yes, Parul.
Yeah, I thank you so much. This story is really so profound. I heard about the Einstein statements earlier, but the story was fantastic. I also feel that, but I have this question that even after I ask you, we are constantly talking about the interdependence. So it is not just depend on me, it also depends on the other person. I have to accept, while on one hand, I have to accept the person as the person is and their behavior is, which is at times acceptable to me or not acceptable to me. I like it, I dislike it, hundreds of shades of that. But then I have to find answer for myself because I cannot change the person's behavior. I just
Correct.
can focus only on my behavior. And that I
Absolutely.
think, for example, just as an example, that I like to move around, I like to go out in nature, this and that. But my partner doesn't like it. So he likes to sit and read book. I also like book, but I want to go out. Now here is the difference. I want to be happy
I
with
got
him,
it.
and I still want to. So these things, like while I depend on interconnectedness. So
Yeah.
how do I? This is the question.
Reconcile. Exactly. I'll give you a short answer and a long answer, in the sense, not in terms of answering it is long or short. The first answer is, as you rightly said, we accept. But just accepting does not change the situation. It will help us to evolve by accepting, but it doesn't change the situation. We also have to look at it in a practical way. So we try to look at it in a practical way, and that is where comes about difference of opinion leading to certain emotions, afflictive emotions. It could be sadness in one person, or it could be anger in the person. It is still not happening, right? This is where, rather than looking at the behavior issue and then trying to deal and negotiate with this, I always say this has to become a value. And so it is not just discussing we should do this, we shouldn't do that. And we never thought about it this way. This is another unique way how families should develop values to be able to live in a way, as you're rightly questioned, Parul. Just accepting is not going to be enough, but we also need to live in a manner that will be conducive to everybody in the family. Otherwise, it is like two people going in parallel ways. The reason is we are paying too much attention on being independent. So it is two people running on parallel tracks. Great up to a certain point. But afterwards, especially when we have kids, when we have to raise kids, or as we're getting older, two people just living separate lives in the house. But that is not what home is all about. Two people can live in the house on parallel tracks, but for it to make it a home, how do we do this? This is where actually Yogakshema came up with these concepts, and we have been talking about for years. Not even a single family has come forward. We are proposing these ideas. Even when we have the solution as an organization, it's also the people who have to accept and then be able to. What is the proposal that we come about, talk about? As a family, you have to make certain values. The way we were raised, the values were you cannot say anything. You cannot lie. You always have to tell the truth, and don't waste food on your plate. Take only as much as you want. We are still stuck in those old values that we were raised. I'm not saying that those values are not important. Those values have to be imbibed, and it has been imbibed, and they are hardwired. And we're still stuck in those values to be able to live um, in a happy manner with our spouse and with our even with our kids. Just going through those values are not going to be enough. We need to have better values. But what do we do in terms of values? How we were raised? Somebody, one person in the family, quote unquote, the head of the family, which is usually a man. And we all have to follow that. I'm not against no gender biases here. What I'm saying is, whoever thinks more deeply for the benefit of the family need to be heard, but still the values have to be put forth and accepted by the entire family. So it has to be done in unison. Even though it starts from one person, it has to be accepted by others. So, for example, your own question about going out in nature and being physically active, not just intellectual stimulation through books. That is also equally important. Take the book and read, or have an audio book and go out and read. There are many different ways that it can be done. But rather than dealing and wheeling and dealing and negotiating with our partners and kids, we should be creative, thinking out of the box, creatively make this as a value so that the entire family follows. Whether to be physically active or to eat healthy food or how much to spend on many different things that are only wants, which are not needs. All of this right now in this day and age need to come out as values. Until and unless this happens, I can assure you, we are stuck in the old ways and only negotiating and dealing, wheeling and dealing. Whoever has a better I do not know, better way of convincing the other tries to convince, and we think we have convinced that person. If the other person has not bought in this value and made it as a belief system, they will go out with you 1 or 2 days and then it stops. This is a totally new way, thinking out of the box, the things that are important, and it cannot be one sided. Whether it is children and spouses, each one has to come to the table and meet and say what is so important in each of our lives. And then in combination, we should try and see, have certain independent values and also have family values that we can put forth. Otherwise, it's not just in US. I see in US 3, 4 people in a family, each one is so independent, will go about in their own way, which is great. But how do you keep the family together? This is one of the things that I see. Family values, until and unless it is looked at as value, families are growing apart. Each one having very good value system, no issues with anything. But if there are no common values, in other words, each one grows at their own pace, in their own way, and when there is nothing common between spouses or with children and spouses, many a times either things fall apart or we just stay together in a family, not in an harmonious way, not in an integrated manner. Each person singularly, independently existing in a family. We have to think deeply. I think with this, I don't want to take any more questions on this because this is a newer concept. Think about it. Either we can take it up at the end of the today's lecture or tomorrow, because this will take some time to even accept at an intellectual level, to first to comprehend, to accept this, and it has to go deep. When it has not been fully understood, we don't want discussion. Then it is only trying to convince. I'm not here to convince anybody of anything. For you to think deeply, and all of this is coming out of experience, personal experience. Even though being independent, as Vasant was talking about in the meditation, being independent is of a very high order. But there is another level of understanding the interdependence. What do we use this interdependence for? To do chores at home. Even men trying to help in the chores because of interdependency. We are remaining at a very, very gross level. To truly evolve, we need to go deeper. But I wouldn't say problem, but the reality, fact of life is it's only one person who wants to be evolving much more than the rest of the people. That is where we get stuck and then happens. But yet, it is okay. Even that person with conviction, if we keep at it, we have to believe it will touch others' lives also some time or other. And even if it happens, you know how tough it is to change their habits. That is the next stage that comes up. The other person also agrees with you to change certain things in the home. That example that you have given, going out and then being with nature, yes, they might agree, but to truly change that habit, it's not so easy. They think of it, they feel it, they say it, but actually doing takes more time. That is a simpler example of going out. But there are deeper examples too, which takes even more time. And that whoever the person um, comes up with such ideas, we need to understand and accept everybody is at their own level of evolution, and we need to understand and accept and not depend on that person. When we understand, so figure out creative ways of finding another friend, a neighbor, whoever it is, to be able to do certain things. So with this, we'll close and then I will start the presentation. Let it sink in deeply and then we can take it up. I'm sure you will have a lot of questions, many of you, but we will take it up as we go along. I think maybe we need to take a break.
Yes.
Is that so? And then we
That's
will
right.
come back. Yes.
Thank you so much, Usha.
We have a 5-minute break.
Yes, Vasantji. 5-minute break and then we'll continue. Welcome back to the session. I think we can start the presentation, continue with the presentation. Usha ma'am. Yes, Usha ma'am, I have made you the co-host already.
Thank you. Still happening. I have no idea. Okay. One second. Something happened. Are you able to see now?
Yes,
Okay.
Yes.
and now it's perfect.
I'm not able to. Except I'm not able to. Oh, all right. Okay. With that, we will go around. I want you to reflect on that story by yourself and then see what are our blind spots, or that hole in the deep in the sidewalk. We have those, and then until and unless the person accepted that maybe it is my fault, she was not able to come out of that hole, right? What is the hole that we are stuck in? We had to think about it, and then we will take it up tomorrow, and it will truly fit in to tomorrow's session. So it's all about training our mind, because the first thing we need to understand is to change our belief system that interpersonal relationships are or having meaningful interpersonal relationship is the most crucial aspect for our well-being, either individually or for the sake of family. Once we're convinced, and then we have this as a belief system, then we need to train our mind to be able to follow that. And we have come up with a very simple formula to have better interpersonal relationship. And that formula involves as simple as A plus B plus C equals evolving. Why are we doing all of this? Not just to be well, that wellness has to result in us evolving. Otherwise, we are being healthy and we are surviving, we are being very successful, we are thriving, we are flourishing. But once we include this in the role of interpersonal relationships in along with being healthy, that is what true well-being is all about, and that is what leads to evolving. So what does that A in the formula represent? We have heard this many times. If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. So whatever difficult relationship we have in our lives, it could be with our spouse, it could be with our children, it could be with our parents, it could be with our siblings, it could be with our colleague, whoever it is, can we change the way we are looking at that relationship? Rather than looking at as a difficult relationship, look at it as this difficult person is there in my life for me to be evolving. Otherwise, when we are in the comfort zone, science says, yes, we'll be happy and maybe flourishing. But to be truly learning things, you need that friction, you need that little challenge in your life. So says both from a scriptural perspective and from a scientific perspective. That's why, otherwise, we will only be managing stress when we have challenges, when we look at the challenges and overcoming those challenges to be like before, that is managing stress. However, that same stress or that challenge in the life, which is stressful, we look at it from this perspective or a different perspective. That is when, rather than managing stress, we become resilient. Resilience means being better than before the challenge has arisen. So when we take this perspective, we see that difficult person in our life is helping us to evolve. So that change in perception has to come. So rather than adjusting, adapting, or making small changes and going through this, we truly evolve by accepting that relationship and figuring out. Just accepting again is not going to be enough, figuring out ways to evolve. So, in that token, we are here to understand and change our mind. This workshop is not to understand all of this and go back and change that difficult person in our life. We need to be able to change things ourselves. So the onus is on us because the solution is within us. If we have to evolve, seek the solution that is already within you. So the next aspect in that formula is, as we said yesterday, the serenity prayer. Accepting the things I cannot change, and to develop that courage to change the things I can, and to know the difference between the two. Again, for us to evolve, it needs both strength and courage, all types of strength for that matter. Ultimately, the spiritual strength, which is nothing but believing in ourselves, having faith in ourselves. What we call as Atma Bala is nothing but having faith in oneself. That is the strength and the courage to evolve. No, this is a statement, I think, from Lao Tzu. He says, being deeply loved by someone gives you that strength. And while loving someone deeply gives you the courage. It's very profound. Think about that. And in the same token, it says, we need to add something every day to be adjusting and to be adapting. However, every day something is dropped for us to evolve. Isn't this the concept of neurosculpting? We need to chip off, drop off all those afflictive emotions, doubts, and whatnot. There is no need to bring in something from outside to evolve. We have all the resources we want inside us, and even the capability to evolve, we have that inside us. Immense potential is within us to be able to do this. And the third part of the formula, C, what is it? I keep saying evolve, evolve. When you look at evolution of man, as I was discussing yesterday, we have come from our ancestors, the primates, from the chimpanzees and gorillas. These are different stages of evolution. However, when we have become humans, that evolution is not a stage to reach. It is on a moment to moment to moment basis. It's just that when does it become a stage? When one moment when we evolve, that moment keeps expanding to such an extent, it becomes our second nature, which you may want to call that as a stage. Otherwise, it's on a moment to moment to moment basis, because we might make a certain decision which helps in our evolution, and that decision can stay for a long time until some other new challenge comes up, and then we need to make a newer uh, understanding and dropping off something to be evolving. So evolution of humans is on a moment to moment basis. And what does that mean to be peaceful and restful life is to expand this moment as much as possible to be able to be in that evolved state. And honestly, that evolved state is not just taking care of ourselves. Until and unless we keep the well being of everybody around us, at least, it is not true evolving. So, what did we come up with? This simple formula: A representing that solution is within us, and B is to gain wisdom from, remember that serenity prayer. And that solution is within, because we need to change that perception. If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. Is that A part of the formula, which means the solution is within us. We need to be able to change our perception. B part of the formula talks about the serenity prayer, wherein we need to gain wisdom as to what are the things that we can change and what is it that we cannot change. And C is moment to moment basis, we are going to be evolving. So again, I had put in some time for interaction, but because of lack of time, I think we're going to go over the rest of the presentation, and I'll take your questions. We will stay back, if that is okay with Ravish. Even after 8:30, Vasant and I can stay back and take your questions. So if that is the case, how do we build meaningful relationships? And there are certain qualities of enhanced interpersonal relationship, which is love, preeti, gaurava, respect, mrudutva, the kindness, infinite patience, that is that apara sahane or forbearance, listening skills, keluva kaushala, active listening, and then magnanimity, udatta bhavane, empathy, anubhuti, assertiveness, khachitate, authenticity, adhikrutatva, and mudita. There is no equivalent English word for this mudita. Here we can say, understand mudita as a way to look at somebody else's success and happiness, and you being happy for that. We can understand this very easily when we are raising kids. As the kids are happy, we also are happy as parents. So that is what mudita means. For this, it is our negativity bias that prevents us. We have all of these qualities within us. But to be able to express these qualities, to be able to manifest this quality, it is our negativity bias that comes in the way. So we actually need to reverse this bias. How do we reverse this bias? And when we do reverse this bias, when we try to manifest these qualities and express these qualities, that is what is called emotional hygiene. Very simply put, what is that emotional hygiene means? We need to be, I've used this term even yesterday. Ask ourselves, are we more compassionate? Are we more peaceful? Do we accept things without much resistance? Are we more understanding with our relationships? Are we more kind? And are we more loving and caring? If we answer yes to these questions, if the answer is affirmative, then we know we do have that emotional hygiene and we are on the right track. The quote from Swami Vivekananda comes to my mind, which is, he says, all expansion is life, all contraction is death, all love is expansion, and all selfishness is contraction. Love is therefore the only law of life. What Vasant talked about, that esoterically or from a spiritual perspective, what he described, how are these planets are all in their orbits, right? That is because of that love, esoterically speaking. And scientifically speaking, we call that gravitational force. Or we can, scientifically speaking, we can call that as force. But esoterically speaking, that is nothing but love. So love is therefore the only law of life. And he who loves lives. He who is selfish is dying. And if we have answered affirmative to the previous slide, then we are on. Excuse me. Then we are on the right track and we are evolving. So this is common. We understand all of this because we're doing all of this so that we can enjoy this moment. And we have understood on day one that only this moment is what we have. And only this moment truly exists, not even the next moment, when it comes to our actions, right? When it comes to our doing things, when it comes to action, this is the only moment that we have. And we know we need to enjoy this moment. It's a no-brainer to understand this. Can we look at that statement and change the way we are looking at it? Yes, enjoying is good, but we need to be focusing on evolving. Evolve this moment, for this moment is your life. And when we make this process of evolving a joyous one, that is where we say, make this journey of evolution itself as your destination. When we do that, the path itself becomes the goal. The journey, every moment becomes joyous. So we don't need to focus on just being joyful in each moment. It can happen even in a superficial manner, which is temporary. But for long lasting joy to be part of our life, then we need to be evolving and understand that we need to enjoy this process of evolving so that our journey becomes the destination. So, again, what did we say 2 days back? Through this shloka of Bhagavad Gita, Bandhuratmatmanastasya enatmaivatmana jitaha anatmanastu shatrutve vartetatmaiva shatruvatu. We need to not just train our mind, but conquer our mind. Don't go to controlling your mind. You have understood what this mind is all about, self-discovery. This whole 4-day workshop is also about self-discovery. When you do that, no need to control the mind by using only willpower. Bring this knowledge so you can train your mind. And as you train your mind and focus on the ultimate that is evolving through relationships, and then that is what we mean by conquering the mind, that is Mano Jayaha. And that conquering of mind has to happen only in the present moment, right? We have established that. The only thing that we have is the present moment. So it is not about thinking positively in the present moment, feeling positively in the present moment. By doing the right thing in the present moment is what happens. But this but keeps budding in our mind, right? You say, yes, that's all true, but these ands, our negativity, our doubts prevent us to be in the present moment, right? So, how do we get rid of that old unwanted negative conditioning, our old unwanted habits, rewire ourselves so that we have these positive beliefs, positive thoughts, and positive feelings resulting in positive action. And this is a journey, not a stage. And we need to enjoy that journey. So, for this, how do we stay in the present moment? Because present moment is all what we have, and we need to train our mind to be in the present moment so that we can conquer that mind of ours. So the tool that we are using is mindfulness. However, even though it's a tool, it's a technique, but when understood properly and once it is implemented in the right manner, rather than mindfulness staying as a tool, becomes our lifestyle. That is when we can say it's mindful living. It becomes a process itself, a skill becoming a process to live mindfully. So, what is mindfulness? First, we will, I don't think I shared with the sound. Let me go back and turn on the sound and then show this short video, and then we will understand mindfulness very quickly in the next probably 15 minutes at the most. Let me come out. Okay. Right.
There is a story, usually attributed to the Native American tradition, which illuminates different ways of paying attention. An elder, talking to a child, says, "I have two wolves fighting in my heart. One wolf is fearful, vengeful, envious, resentful, and deceitful. The other wolf is compassionate, loving, generous, truthful, and peaceful." The child asks, "Which wolf will win the fight?" The elder responds, "The one I feed." That doesn't mean we try to deny or hurt or kill the angry wolf. If we did that, we'd end up in a long battle, all the while somehow making that wolf more powerful through our hostility and fear. Hating that wolf sucks the strength right out of us. Instead, we calmly pay attention to the angry wolf and let go of believing they have the answers. If we can do that, they end up lying down next to us, no longer an enemy. We help strengthen the kind and loving wolf, giving it nourishment and support so that we can follow it. That peaceful wolf can become our steady companion and show us the way through all kinds of different life experiences. Restful or chaotic, enjoyable or disappointing experiences may come and go, but we can have a guide with us through it all. This is what mindfulness can help you do. Mindfulness allows us to see our thoughts and feelings as they are beginning. It's very powerful to know what we're feeling as we're feeling it, know what we're thinking as we're thinking it. With mindfulness, we can choose what will strengthen and bring into action, and we can choose what we will gently let go of. We don't have to be at the mercy of old habits or old ways of thinking or old ways of being. We are empowered. It just takes practice.
Yeah, beautiful way of understanding how both afflictive emotions and healing emotions are within us. We cannot get angry and be hostile towards our own negative emotions. Accept them, acknowledge them, but keep feeding the wolf which has healing emotions. That is a healthier way to go. And for that, we need to understand what this mindfulness is all about so that we can start feeding the wolf that has more of healing emotions. So we're going to understand mindfulness in a couple of different ways. This is a standard definition that you will get on the internet, which says bringing one's complete attention to the present experience on a moment-to-moment basis in a non-judgmental way. That same definition we can understand in this way. It takes into consideration three things: to be in the present moment, here and now, now and here. Paying attention, that means highly focused, highly concentrated in that present moment, and in a non-judgmental way. This is what mindfulness is all about. What do I mean by non-judgment? I'll just give a very short example for us to understand what this non-judgmental means. Because we talked about paying attention, focusing, concentration, being in the present moment. We've all done this, but we have been judgmental too. For example, let us go back a thought experiment again. When you're young, you're studying various different subjects, and this particular subject you don't like. So you're paying attention, highly focused, and you're in the present moment because you're studying for the exam. But you're thinking in your mind, I'm so glad this is the last year I'm going to be studying this subject. It could be maths, it could be geography, it could be history, whatever it may be. And then you're thinking, oh, this is the last year. I don't have to take this subject when I go to college. That is being judgmental. We are highly focused. We even get good grades for whatever we have studied for that subject, which we don't like, but we are judging. Non-judgmental means I have to study this subject for me to understand and get better, and let me just do it. That is being mindful. Being non-judgmental is being mindful. Otherwise, it is just concentration. This is the difference between just concentration and being mindful. The second way of understanding mindfulness is changing our perspective. What do I mean by that? A way of seeing things, a way of seeing people, a way of seeing situations and circumstances as though you're seeing it for the first time. This for me, this is the hardest part of understanding mindfulness and uh, implementing this definition. Whoever you're seeing neither as a friend nor a foe, just witnessing. It works great with strangers, but try and do that with your spouse, with your children, with your parents, with your siblings, with all those past experiences hardwired, and try to see them as though you're seeing for the very first time. It works great if you can do that with your spouse. Imagine when you met your spouse, even before your wedding, how it was. If you can bring that again now, wherever you're in your life, it will be a beautiful experience. But again, I can assure you, this is one of the hardest ways to be able to follow, but if we can, it will be great. Again, this goes back to our autobiographical story. You can't make the same mistake twice. The second time you make it, it's no longer a mistake. It is a choice that we have chosen, and it has become a habit. And that's what it said even in the story, right? You see, but you still fall into that hole. You know it is there. You pretend you don't see it and you fall in. Only, and then she says, it has become a habit for me. And that story is not just autobiography of Portia Nelson. It is autobiography of each and every one of us. We see and we keep making the same mistake. It has become a habit for us. We need to get out of that habit. Another way of looking at mindfulness is a couple of different ways here, even in this. We need to see things, life as a unified whole. Again, today's meditation technique helped us to look at the big picture and look at it from a holistic perspective. We usually take the reductionist approach and see only our own way of doing things. Rather than doing that, look at everything as a unified whole. And as we said yesterday, it is difficult to isolate each part from the entire whole. Each part is part of the unity, the whole with a W. So if we can understand this can be done through understanding that concept of interconnectedness and interdependence of things. And we only addressed, for the lack of time, from a neuroscientific perspective. But even when you look at it from quantum physics perspective, we can understand this interconnectedness and interdependence of things in even more. And another way of looking at mindfulness is, see, each and every one of us, we have these things. We have certain things that we need to be doing, and we have certain things that we want to be doing. And there is a very clear-cut separation between what we have to do and what we would like to do. That separation has to go off, saying that whatever has to be done, it has to be done. We keep doing what we have to do, but what we want to do for ourselves, we keep ignoring. Rather than that, whatever it is, just do it. So this is where we see, when we ask certain things, something comes to your mind, and then say, why? What happened? Why did this happen? Right? And from that's a favorite expression, saying that, what are you talking about? And then you have an attitude of, so what? Let us accept. In other words, it is a way of facing the reality. You need to face the reality as it is, not facing the reality as you would like to be. If we understand this, then we will be able to accept people as they are.
Welcome to Mindfulness, Neuroscience and
Yeah,
United.
this is
Sponsored
another
by the Integrated
video.
Health
We can see
Convention.
this.
What if you could know how the mind worked so that you could make it work even better with a simple brain training exercise? The exercise is mindfulness meditation, and the following video will explain simply the current neuroscience research on how the brain works normally and how you can have the power to change it with mindfulness meditation. There is emerging evidence that mindfulness meditation causes changes in the structure and function of brain regions involved in the regulation of attention, emotion, and self-awareness. Functional MRI studies of the brain show that when someone is daydreaming or just not doing anything, our brains show consistent activity in certain regions. Some studies suggest as much as 45% of our time is spent daydreaming. These areas together are called the default mode network, or DMN. The interesting thing about the default mode network is that it involves parts of the brain responsible for thinking about yourself and rumination, areas which are correlated with some mental illnesses such as depression and anxiety. One of the interesting brain areas making up the default mode network is the amygdala, the region of the brain largely responsible for the fight or flight response, and is seen to be more active when people are stressed. Just as the brain has a default mode network when we are daydreaming or not thinking about anything in particular, it has an opposite network of brain activity known as the task positive network, or TPN, that is active during attention demanding tasks. Only one network can be active at any one time. So in summary, the default mode network can be said to be a ruminative network. It directs our awareness to the past and future while largely ignoring the present. And while the DMN can be used responsibly for planning and organizing, we must be wary of the negative aspects of it. The task positive network can be said to be responsible for present moment awareness, being in the here and now. It is the action network. When the TPN is activated and we are in the present, there is no rumination, there is no worry, there is no past, there is no future, because the DMN is inactivated. And again, only one system can be active at any one time. By activating the TPN, we deactivate the DMN. So the next time you feel down, or ruminating on events of the past, or worrying about the future, remind yourself of the power of the task positive network, the TPN. All you have to do is bring attention, for example, to your breath, or a sound, or a sensation, such as the warmth of the sun on your skin. Then if you find that your mind wanders, as the DMN begins to take over, activate your TPN again by bringing your attention back to your breath or sound or sensation. Experienced meditators have been found to have smaller amygdalas responsible for stress. And so this change in structure of their brains means that they are able to react differently to the stresses and strains of everyday life. Research also shows that the more you practice mindfulness meditation, the easier it is for you to activate your TPN and deactivate your DMN. With what you've learned now, you can begin to enjoy being in the present and begin changing your brain and your life for the better. Welcome to Inner Peace. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe now.
We saw, I won't go into details of that DMN and TPN network, but all it represents everything what we have talked about. How do we need to train, or the important aspect of training our brain and mind is to be in the present moment and being mindfully in the present moment. That means being non-judgmental and accepting the reality as it is. So to conclude, I'll give you a few tips. Next 5 minutes, we should be able to finish off. Few tips, which is, if you look at this picture, the first thing that comes to your mind, for some people, you can see a bunny or a rabbit. Some others might see a bird, right? But You can see both. Some of you might see both seeing a rabbit and a bird. If you look at it in one way, you see rabbit, and you look at it another way, it's a bird. This is just symbolic. This is how everything we're trying to relate to interpersonal relationships, right? We say it is either my way or your way, his way or her way. This is the way looking at the world in a binary format, either or, black or white, my way or your way. Once we understand all of this, rather than seeing only the rabbit or only the bird, you say, oh, both of them you can see. If you just change the way we are looking at the picture, we can see both. If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. Then we can actually say, my way and your way instead of or. Or we can say, rather than my way and your way, we can make it our way. This is what I was talking about. We are all at this stage of, we are not looking at my way or your way. We are at the stage, my way and your way, running on parallel tracks, being highly independent. But to make it our way, it needs a little bit more of understanding and more tools that we're going to bring it out tomorrow, that is preventing us to make it our way, so that we can truly enjoy our lives. For that, we truly believe, even at this stage in our life, does not matter what age, even if it's just the two of you, you might be grandparents, some of you are grandparents, it does not matter. Just at this age, even though you're just the two of you, talk at the level of values, then only you can make it our way. And we also say, why me? Why is this happening to me? So from that, we move to, why not me? Let it happen. I will learn, because now we know we learn from challenges. So there is something for me to learn from here. So say, why not me? And from that, why me to why not me, we can actually evolve into try me. So any challenge that comes, when we start evolving through challenges, that is when we can try and say, try me. Rather than seeing the world in binary format, like the previous picture, either rabbit or bird, we can, the life symbolizes this picture, which is, there are so many things, not just two things that are happening. You see two elderly people, a grandma and a grandfather, and inside their face there are two young couple, one playing guitar, the other one holding on to sombrero, the Mexican hat, and there is another person near the ear, standing in the doorway, and there is a flower vase in the center. There are many things that you can see in this picture. Life depicts this picture. Rather than looking at life from black and white perspective, life is truly about many different shades of gray, and there are many different possibilities waiting to happen. So once we start believing this is the quantum way of looking at life rather than binary way of looking at life. So with this, I conclude by giving you certain credos for enriching relationships. We have literally decoded what works in any type of relationship for that matter. And we have given you few things. We call this as relationship credos. What are these? Starting with Vivekananda says, in a conflict between the heart and the brain, follow your heart. Don't follow your heart for the negative things. Right now, we are following our heart for everything that is negative, we see only negative things in somebody else. That is how we are following our heart. Rather than when he says, follow your heart, that heart is, which is full of devoid of biases, that pure heart, with pure intention, when you see, choose that inner voice which is pure and which will always be right. That can happen when life expands, or when we expand our mind, life also expands. From that expanded point of view, when our mind expands, then follow your heart. That is one thing. Another relationship credo is, we cannot give what we do not have. Supposing I ask you to give me a 5,000 rupee note, that 5,000 rupee note, not even 2,000 rupee note, right? It does not exist. So you cannot give me. That is at a material perspective. But what we want to make the relationships better, all those qualities we already have within us, all those healing emotions we already have within us. So we have everything what we need, but we need to develop those qualities. We need to nurture those qualities within us. We need to manifest those qualities first within us, all those healing emotions. And then that is all we can give it to others. Also, very profound, another relationship credo. You cannot receive what you do not give. Outflow determines inflow. We cannot receive love if we have not given love. So, this workshop is all about learning to love, and learning to receive love also. Another relationship credo is, do you want to be happy or do you want to be right? It does not mean we can be doing wrong things and be happy. It goes at a deeper level. Think about it. Between people, we are stuck on proving ourselves right. When we are stuck on after an argument, even if you don't say it, in your mind that goes on, who is right? I am right. And we want to establish that we are right. We want to prove ourselves that we are right. And that is when happiness goes away. That does not mean we have to accept the wrong thing about the other person. We need to separate out the person from the action and learn to be with that person so as to be happy. Another relationship credo is, choose being kind over being right, and you will be right every time. This is going to be tough for, especially for parents or for teachers. Sometimes the way people are used to certain things, it has become a habit, and they keep giving that as a reason many a times, which is not even a reason but an excuse. So as I'll give you an example so that you will be able to understand, either as a teacher or as a parent. When you are raising a little kid, certain habits are already formed and the kid is never able to change. And then we need to show that tough love to come out of that habit in a faster manner, quicker manner. This is what is called tough love. And from that little kid or from that adult, it is looked as being unkind. But whatever it may be, as long as you know, I hope in our lives that we don't need to be using that tough love too many times. But even that tough love is understood by both the teacher and the student, or by the parent and the kid. is another way of showing kindness, then everything is going to be fine. But try to choose being kind over being right. So we started off with this statement again. Another relationship credo, which is happiness of our life just don't depend on the quality of our thoughts, but upon the quality of our relationships. So, do you want to be right or do you want to be kind? Do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? Ask yourselves, answer this as you go along with your relationships. So, again, there is a purpose behind repeating this again and again. The happiness of our life, the quality of our life depends on the quality of our thoughts, and the happiness of our life and the quality of our life depends upon the quality of our relationships. And I end with this statement, which is one of my favorite statements, as I've said. Are we growing spiritually? Can we love others? Can we feel oneness with others? And do we have peace within ourselves? And do we radiate this peace around us? This is called spiritual growth, which is stimulated by meditation inwardly and by work done in a spirit of service outwardly. Favorite affirmation of mine. May every moment of our lives and the life of others around us, not just our lives, but the life of others around us, be one of wisdom, inner peace, and happiness, leading to love. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Usha ma'am and Vasant bhai. Uh, can we take any questions right now?
Certainly, if there are any, and if they want to stay back, not everybody has to stay back. If you have something pressing, please feel free to exit. But if people have questions, certainly we'll take it up.
I certainly like, Auntie, the example that you gave. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I really like the example that you gave about having a healthy friction, which enables polishing both the stones. In fact, all these small kirkiris that really exist in our lives to be looked at as means to polish your stones.
Yeah. You may need to increase the volume a bit more on your lap.
Okay.
Yeah, but we could hear.
Bankimji. Just a minute. Yes.
Namaste again. Yeah, absolutely great. Very, I would say thought-provoking and soul-stirring. Will take, I think, good amount of time, what you call Atma Manthan and, all that to really grasp everything. Coming to the question, we talked about, interdependence, interrelationship, basically all that is about, just give me a second, okay? Okay, so it's living in a family, okay? So please
That's
forgive
okay.
me.
That's all right.
So talking about, outside world, right? But then at the same time, obviously yogic technique tells us that if you are looking for happiness outside, you will never get it. You look within, like, getting into pratyahar mode, withdrawal of the senses and, so how do you connect, both of these aspects together?
A great question, Bankim. This is what we mentioned on day 1 and day 2, saying that the solution is within, and that happiness is a state of mind. It doesn't depend on the external things, but how we react to things. We went through the thought experiment, eating whatever, either rasgulla or rasmalai, right? So everything is within us. That is one way, Patanjali Yoga way, the Ashtanga Yoga way, Pratyahara, all of that is fine. But for that to truly work, that is the yogic way. We cannot miss any step in between. And it has to be followed in a regimental way for it to be working. And only some of you will be able to go through that path and do it. And that's all. We're all trying that because we are born in this culture, imbibed with all these even terminologies and tools and whatnot, right? Shama, Dama, Uparati, Pratyahara, whatnot. But we also know how we are falling short by only following that. In this day and age, it becomes impossible. Even if you're living in a cave, all of this is happening up here, not outwardly. That Shama, Dama, and then Pratyahara, all of that has to happen here, right? Whether we are living in a family or in a cave. I've tried both, and then you know how tough that is. So, what we are suggesting is, rather than saying, oh, this is science, this is of a lower level of knowledge. So we need to go with higher knowledge with Vedas and yogic method. What I'm saying is, have an open mind. Everything what has been said in our scriptures, now it is backed with scientific evidence, and we are coming up with different names, terminologies for the same tools, and science has made it simpler. For example, the meditation that takes you to samadhi in the Ashtanga Yoga way, science has given on a platter. There are various different mindfulness techniques. If you're looking for focusing and increasing the concentration, there is a particular way. If you're looking for having better relationships, then understand the interconnectedness and do it this way. And if you have too much hatred and anger, then loving kindness. Too much hatred, then there is forgiveness. They have codified and they've given it on platter. Science has done this. It is like smorgasbord, which is, there are so many different items on the table, which we need to pick whatever we need. It has made it easier. Why should we just stick to something we know it is not working for us? You need that intellectual understanding of our ancient methods. That is where we will develop that conviction and use the modern tools to get that ancient wisdom. Using modern tools to get that ancient wisdom. The modern tools are scientific tools, whether it is mindfulness or whether it is CBT, cognitive behavior training. What do we get? They call it samadhi. Here we call it peace of mind and living harmoniously within the family. That is enough for us as family people. That is where we are. We are looking at this. We are using the tools meant for samadhi, which means if we do it the right way, all of this, what we are looking for at a lower level within the family, should automatically come, because something higher includes everything underneath, right? And we're not even getting benefit at a lower level, but we are using some tool that is meant for that highest level. So let us go stepwise. Let us use the modern tools that is meant for what we are looking for: better relationships, less anger, less hatredness, to love our own near and dear ones even more, have that intellectual ancient wisdom, but use the modern tools to achieve what we are looking for. Whatever I'm saying is, I can assure you, it's not just backed by scriptures, it is all scriptural knowledge packed in a different, newer terminology, modern terminology. That we have to have that ability to understand and accept this, then only we will be able to. This, I'm saying this because many of the sadhus, senior sadhus of Ramakrishna order have told me this. This is all what is said in our scriptures, but packaged in the modern terminology and modern tools. So it is not my own explanation. What many of the senior sadhus who have trained me in many different ways, including Upanishad knowledge, and this is what they have expressed.
Sejal Thakkar.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yes.
It was really wonderful session. Just one thing what I realized, I mean, from the story, the dig hole wala component. So the things which we are struggling is about the awareness. I should understand that there is a hole and I need to, I mean, rather than I just fall down, come back, that would be the survival mode. And to come up from that survival to evolving mode, I need to be aware that there is a hole. In today's life, lot many holes are there on the way, and just we are not aware of it. So I don't know, at every point of time, I listen mindfulness and everything, but still it is very difficult to become aware at that particular point of time. So to understand the need of awareness and actually being aware at that point of time is a challenge. How to overcome?
Sejal, a great question. You know, as I say, self-awareness is the primary thing. It's actually a prerequisite for our evolution, for our change, for that matter. Forget about evolution. To change some of the things that we are doing, we need to be aware of what is happening in our mind, our own thoughts, our own emotions, feelings, and our own behavior. That is the first step. I feel, you know, it's not that we don't have awareness. We have the awareness. Two things happen. One, it is difficult for us to accept those holes exist in our life because our ego is coming in the way. And we want to defend our actions. And we want to blame something outside for our actions. Blaming and defending our actions is why we are not able to come out of the holes. Not that we don't know what those blind spots are in our mind, you know. That is one thing. And the second thing, we are aware of it after the fact. We need to train ourselves to see things, bring that awareness as it is happening.
Okay.
These are the two reasons. Not that we don't have self-awareness. We truly have that self-awareness. And we need this is only by practice. By practice, we will know as it is happening. But our amygdala hijacks our emotions.
Mm.
And then we start defending. And then we start blaming somebody else.
Okay.
And we start regretting later. That regret is because of the self-awareness.
देखा को अनदेखा कर देते हैं. Okay. Got the point.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
I think there are no more hand raises.
Okay.
So we can
Thank
continue today's session. Thank you once again, Usha ma'am and Vasant bhai.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you, Ravish Bhai, Vasant Bhai, Usha ji. Wonderful sessions are going on.
Thank you.
So enlightening.
Thank you.
Thank you.